Dude, it has YouTube stats. You don't know how to look at YouTube stats?
They're all over the place.
I was looking at it before it adjusted, and my stats, this was not real stats. I just want to make this clear.
Yeah.
It said 100% men.
Oh, that's 100% men. You're right. Mine's also a lot of dudes.
Not anymore. It's now that now that I have enough views and stuff that it's adjusted. Now it's adjusted. But the first time,
99.
like, is there not a single female, not one girl that's watching my content? But it's not true. There are.
You were doing it for?
They're all girls. Nah, it's not what I'm doing it
Man's
for.
doing
but,
well. He doesn't need YouTube analytics to, get girls.
But you just want it. I'm like,
You just want to, you want a little
I'm like,
diversity.
so my mom's been lying to me. My mom's not watching, right? So now there's more questions that come with this, right?
Your brother's account, bro.
Maybe, yeah. That's what she'll say.
You're listening to Board with Nelly.
Welcome to another episode of the Board with Nelly podcast. Today I'm joined by Marko Agbaba. Agbaba. It's a quick. I didn't know where to put the emphasis in that.
Yeah, well, you got to guess, right?
So you're a real estate agent.
Yep.
And I want to know about everything Canadian real estate. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yep.
But let's talk about a little about yourself. How did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so I got into real estate back in Waterloo. I started doing property management, and it was like a real estate developer that built student housing, which is actually, I am a real estate agent, but mostly what I do is build. I'm a real estate developer.
Oh, nice.
So back in Waterloo, I started working for a Serbian guy that was a student housing developer. Fell in love with it right away. Loved the business. So what I started to do was when I was in university, I started buying properties. I had like 2 of them. So I moved to Windsor after I was done my degree in Waterloo there. And ever since, man, I've just been building.
How long ago was that?
About 2.5 years, man. With the COVID thing, like,
Yeah.
just like that, like the last 2-3 years, I have no idea where we're at, right? But I think it's about 2.5 years ago now that I moved here.
So were you like saving money before that to get into it, or?
Yeah, well, actually, like, this is a longer story, but I started investing when I was like 17.
Really?
Yeah, so I got into investing, like Sanderson Farms, like, some companies like that. I did a company called Tweed Marijuana.
Okay.
Which, like, I know now is kind of funny because, like, everyone marijuana stocks, but back then, like, no one was buying marijuana stocks, and pretty much what happened was I put, like, $1,200 into this, and I bought it, and I did the math because one of my roommates, I'm not gonna lie, was selling weed, and I knew what he was paying for it, and, like, this company was buying it for less and selling it for more, and it was legal.
All right.
So I'm like, yeah, like, instead of
course.
like, this goon, like, I'm gonna invest with these guys, right? So I did $1,200. That turned into, like, about $75K. Like, by the
What?
time, yeah, it was pretty crazy. Beginner's luck, right? By the time I graduated U, and I had some other investments, so I had about like 6 figures by the time I finished school. So I paid off student loans and then bought my first property. That's how I got the capital for it.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, it's
1,200
pretty
into
It was like,
75,000.
yeah, but the whole portfolio was like about 100K, but I added more in as I went, right? So I don't know what the exact amount that I invested in, but it couldn't have been more than like 7K max.
Did you just take like part-time money? Like, where'd you get?
Dude, actually, it was leftover OSAP money.
No way.
Yeah, so I actually asked my guidance counselor in grade 12. So I started learning about investing when I was probably like 12, 13 years old. Like, it kind of really started clicking with me. So I asked my guidance counselor because he said, well, you don't have to pay interest until you're done school. And I'm like, so wait, if there's extra, can I invest it? And he's like, like, I guess so. That's what I did. So it was like 1,200 left.
Dude, that's a superpower. Like, investing at an early age, I feel like if
Yeah.
you know about it, it's literally a superpower. Because how many people actually invest before they're like 25?
Like, almost nobody.
Almost nobody.
Right? Well, because people always think too, right? Like, I want to have fun now. I don't really care what it's like at 60 and stuff, right? But I don't think people understand, like, if you're kind of reasonably good at it, it's not going to be 60, dude. It's going to be like 30, 35,
Right.
where you're kind of like, you're pretty comfy at that point, right? So, yeah, it's a sacrifice.
And you're not going to really like detriment your life that much if you put a couple grand aside. You're going to lose that grand doing some stupid shit at club or
Dude,
whatever.
it's all about the discipline of it, right? Like, it's the same as like eating donuts and gaining weight, right? Like, you have one donut every once in a while, you're not going to gain a ton of weight, but you eat 12 pack of donuts, it's going to change your life,
Right.
Same thing with investing. Like, if you're constantly going all in, it's going to suck, of course, but if you're disciplined and always maybe 20%, 30% of what you make, you invest it in, over time that adds up, right?
I don't know about your parents, but my parents are also in the same non-investing boat because they saw it's a massive risk, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But and for the longest time, I believed them. But then as I got older, I realized, okay, the real trick is not to invest. The real trick is to make you think that investing is bad.
Yeah.
And that's how like the wealthy can, sustain their wealth.
Yeah, where we just found out that both of our parents are from the same place. So when I first invested in stocks, man, especially that young, my mom was having a heart attack.
Really?
Right? It's like, you're going to lose all your money, even though it's $1,000. But back then, $1,000
yeah, of course,
is a lot
for
of
a
money,
kid.
right? So she's like, you're going to lose all your money. Yeah, terrible idea. Whatever. I was successful in that. Then I wanted to buy my first piece of real estate. You're a total idiot. You're going to lose all your money. What are you thinking? But the cool thing about my parents is after all that like slander, as soon as I bought it and it was done, the next question was, all right, when do we get started? And they came right away to help out with whatever, right? Clean, paint. They were there the whole time with me. But at the beginning, yeah, same as yours, right? They're scared.
Right. That's wild, man. I can't believe at 14 you had the mindset to invest, or 13.
Well, 17 is when I started, but when I started learning about it, I was really, really young. Like it had to have been grade 9, grade 10. So I don't even know how old you are, 12, 13.
So
right?
you knew about investing. You're like, okay, I'm definitely going to do. Now you had a few years to kind of learn about it, and then when you get some cash flow, were you like looking at stocks and stuff? Were you like studying? How hard did you go into this?
No, like really hard.
Really?
Like, oh my God. The amount of books I read is just ridiculous. Like through my university years, it was crazy. Like during high school, it wasn't as much books as it was like just online learning everything I can. It all started, there's this kid named Derek. So Derek, if you're listening to this,
Shout out to Derek.
Changed my life. We're not even like, we don't talk that much anymore. But so he told me this stupid thing where he was like, my dad told me if you invest $1,000 in your retirement plan, by the time you're 30, you'll have like 10 mil, which is obviously fucking wrong. It's not true. But at the time, I'm like, God damn, that seems like a pretty good deal. And I found out it wasn't true, but it was already done. Like it sparked my interest. And I'm like, well, can you, like, how much can you make? And then from there, game over. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So once you go from that big stock investment to having some money to invest in a property, what was the first property you got and why?
773 Bridge Ave. You know Bridge Ave? Do you guys know Bridge Ave?
I don't know Bridge Ave.
Bridge Ave in Southwest.
Okay.
Yeah, it's student rental. So I wanted to keep student housing. I bought this December 2018. So I was still in Waterloo, my last year of school. It was just a terrible house, but pretty much what I told my parents too. I'm like, the only way I can lose money is if this thing falls over, right? Like I bought it for $160K. Back then, that shit was possible.
Wow.
$160K, and it rented for $2,700 a month, right? So I'm like,
damn.
There's got to be a lot of problems for me to lose money on that, right? And then from there, compounded to another one. Then I just built one recently. Now I'm building a 39 bedroom, 37 bathroom development on Randolph Place. So it's crazy how quick it compounds. But yeah.
That's crazy. So what was the first kind of challenges you had with that rental property? How did you grow it?
The hardest part was getting it rented out because, and I didn't really have that much money, right? So if it wasn't rented out, that's kind of a problem. Like now you're like, whatever, it's not rented out, it's one property, but.
And you don't have another source of income that you can sustain while you're renting, right?
Well, back then I actually had a pretty good job. Like I was, I was like a director of sales for like a condo developer in Waterloo. Just I worked my way up while I was working there. But so I had some but like, you know, when you're younger, you're spending a lot that you make into, right? And I had most of it investments. But the hardest part was renting it out because I closed on it December and I had to do renovations till like the second week of December.
Wow.
And then I thought that I'd rent it for January. And like it was pretty tricky to rent that thing out. So that was pretty scary because I was like, if I don't rent this out, I'm going to have to sell this thing. But yeah, it ended up
it worked out.
Very last minute though. Very last minute.
That's crazy. So I guess when did you want to go into the real estate and student housing business? Because I've been monitoring like the trend of houses here. I remember when I was in engineering like 5 years ago, I had some money aside and I don't know, for me, I just didn't want to buy a house here. That was not really something I thought about. But looking at the prices 5 years ago or even less than that, and today, I don't understand how we go from, a house in the Villages going for, if you know where that is, Villages, it's like not the nicest area of town, or used to be kind of a shitty area. You could buy houses there for like 70, 80K. Now they're like 400, 500, 600.
Yeah, man.
How do we get from there? I don't understand what transpired.
Well, you have a ton of inflation, right? So you have asset inflation all across any asset class. So equities, a lot of private equity, you have real estate market. Everything's pretty much going crazy, right? Some of that's from inflation. Some of it's like when you have a currency that's inflating this much, let's say 7.5 points per year, people do not want to hold cash.
Right.
So you need to put it somewhere else. What happens is when you have stocks that are trading at, I think the average PE multiple in the stock market's like 30, price to earnings, which means for every $30 you spend on a stock, you get $1 of earning. It's not a very good deal.
I got you. So that's like 3.5% dividend, let's say?
Right. It's terrible returns, right? And that's just earnings. That's not a dividend. That's the earning of the company. And that's the stock market as a whole. Okay, so then people say, okay, that's not going to work. So where else do we go? So we go to private equity. Well, private equity is fairly risky. What else can we do? Real estate. The coins go towards real estate. I think it's important to understand that all assets compete for money. And when returns for other ones go lower, then you start investing in other places, right? And you see that with Bitcoin and stuff like that. That's going crazy now, like Pokemon cards, all sorts of shit, right? So part of it's that. Another part of it is we do have a huge housing supply shortage. Like, I mean, it's a legitimate problem.
Sure.
Like Canada is just bringing people in like crazy through immigration. We're just not building houses fast enough.
Right.
So it's kind of the perfect storm between those. And then now once speculators get a hold of it, right? Like when things go up 40% per year, you're going to have people that are like, well, I want to make 40% per year, right? And they're buying things not knowing anything, and then that boosts it until it stops, and then it reverses, right? It goes just as fast the other way.
Right, so everyone's going on the same boat, and it's getting a little full.
It's getting crazy. Yeah.
What about foreign investments and people buying from the outside? Do we know like actual statistics for that kind of stuff?
Well, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's very small.
It's very small.
Yeah, so the new regulator, probably that's what I'm
you're
talking to. I think that's more an image for politics to show that we're doing something, right? For the Liberal Party. Hey, you know, we're doing things to combat it. Will that change anything? No.
Really? I honestly, that's the narrative I thought
Everybody
as well.
thinks it is. Everybody thinks that it's foreign buyers that are doing it. If you look at the percentage of foreign buyers in any market, even like a Toronto and Vancouver, if you look at it in Windsor, like, come on. I mean,
really,
it's minuscule. Like, I would be hard-pressed to think that it's above 5%. There's no way that
Well, who has that information?
Well, you could probably find it.
You can find it,
yeah. You could probably find it. Yeah, you could probably find those stats. Yeah, I remember reading them once. I don't remember the exact stat, but it was very low, and that was even in Toronto. So I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Plus, people that are students, immigrant students, for example, they can still buy properties.
Oh, they
which
can.
is a big bulk of the foreign buyers.
That makes sense.
And then also refugees can buy it as well. So I mean, will it make a big difference? Probably not. That's not enough to do anything. I think that's more of a political, like, hey, we're doing things to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, also it's funny that they're implementing these rules now because, like, bro, it's too late. Like,
well, what? But, yeah, for re-election, right? You need to. Show
sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, from an actual, like, if they were, which is this is what Politics 101 is, right? Like, they were actually trying to make a change. This should have happened like a long time ago. Like,
well, I mean, the promise of Trudeau was the housing, right? Like back
that was
then,
like
it was still
like 10 years ago almost. Like,
and what happened? Nothing really, right? So I mean, a lot of it's politics. Yeah, you got to understand it from there.
Yeah, I get it.
Right.
So what do you? I mean, you get this probably a lot. The trend is it's still been going up, but like the interest rates are rising.
Man, I
the most impossible question, right?
Yeah, well, I posted a YouTube video. It's got like 27,000 views on it because it's very like not popular. But I think the market's going down. You know, that's my opinion on it. And if you read through the comments, I've never been roasted so hard in my life since like the last like family occasion. You know what I mean?
Right,
like
right.
I'm just getting roasted on it. But yeah, I have an unpopular opinion. I think that the market has to correct.
Right. How much correct?
Well, it'd be a big correction, right? Because what I always look at is affordability. So at the end of the day, these houses need to be purchased by people to live in. And when you have people that make an average income of $50,000 and the average
Or like
price of
60
a home is,
for a family, right? It's very low,
exactly, yeah. And then you have the average price of a home is $850, right?
Right.
I mean, that doesn't make sense. So who's going to buy that, right? So unless you're going to go into a renter's nation, which maybe that's what will happen, that's the only alternative, then you're going to need to have a price correction. Then it's also important to look at the economics of things. Like we're at the end of the long-term debt cycle, right? Like we are such an indebted nation. Like if you look at America right now, for example, they're so broke, it's ridiculous, right? So that's kind of
We weren't too bad before the COVID thing. Sorry to interrupt you. We weren't too bad right before COVID. We really borrowed a lot these last 2 years.
Well, we still weren't great, but now it's terrible.
Now it's horrendous.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
now it's horrendous.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
we still weren't great. I mean, realistically, if you look at it, and I know this will never happen probably in my lifetime, but you should not even really be running a deficit. I mean,
well, most certainly not to the extent that we've gotten into, or some of the giant superpowers have gotten into.
Yeah,
they just burn cash.
Well, the Freeland girl had an announcement today where like she's like bragging about it that we're only going to run like a $56 billion deficit. And I'm just like,
yeah, sure, bro.
All right, you know,
Only
I'm like,
56.
this is not looking good at this point. Yeah.
So we're reaching a point where houses are unaffordable to the average Canadian.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they have to come down because interest rates are probably going to go up. So what does that mean for people that have just bought houses for really, you know, are a lot of people going to lose homes? They're going to be able to, not afford rent?
I don't think that they'll lose homes.
Mortgage.
I think that it's important to fix, and this is again an unpopular opinion I'm going to say, but to fix your debt, right? Like if you can go in with a fixed mortgage rate, you're probably going to be fine because you've banked in the payments that you need to make, right? So if you've done a fixed interest rate and you know your payments are $3,000 per month, your payments are $3,000 per month. Okay, so if interest rates go to 10%, your payments are still $3,000 per month. They're fixed. Probably did a 5-year fixed term. So you have 5 years. You'll take down, if you look at a 25-year amortization is the average mortgage.
Yeah.
So over 25 years you pay, that means every year you pay about 4% of your principal off, right? So 5 times 4%, 20%, that means you've paid off 20% of the property by the end of the 5 years. So if there's a dip of 20%, you're still kind of even if you fixed it, right? So that's the safety of doing a fixed. Will a lot of people foreclose? If it becomes as bad as like a 30+% correction, then yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people will foreclose on their homes. But if they can moderate it to keep within, 15, 20 points and then have a steady pace from there. I think for the most part it'll be fine. Most people will be fine. There'll be a lot of investors that will go out. Who cares about the investors?
Right.
At the end of the day, right? I mean, they'll live and learn. But for the people, you don't want to see people that own their house.
You don't see a potential for America housing crisis like we had in the past.
Well, it's
that
a
was
totally
different
game.
Yeah, that was on credit, right? They were taking more.
It was credit related.
Yeah.
Like Canada's actually very tight on credit. Like it's not that easy to get loans. Like
it's not. Yeah,
it's not. And the stress tests are pretty high and stuff. So I don't feel concerned about that. But when people buy 5% down, you put the CMHC insurance premium on it. You're pretty much 100% levered on this thing, right? Which means like the debt is 100% of what the asset's worth, the house is worth.
Right.
It's scary when you play with those numbers, right? But overall, I have no idea what will happen. So,
You're just in this like we all are.
Yeah, I'm just in this like we all are, right? Like even the best of the best, which I am not even close to, they don't know what's going to happen. Right. You can have your best opinions, but.
So okay, let's throw some hypotheticals for people out there, because I know a lot of friends are in their early, mid, late 20s, let's say, and they're sitting on some cash, still living at home, waiting for the opportunity
to buy.
Yeah. So what's the number one thing you would say to them, or what's some advice for them?
The advice would be, okay, look, if you're gonna buy like a home that you plan on living for a long time, like 10, 15 years or so, then go ahead and buy it, because by 10, 15 years. Even if it does crash, things will probably come back reasonably. Like if not 100%, you'll be 80, 90% of what it was worth before. So go for it. At that point, you want to build a family, you want to have the house. That's fine. If you're planning on like, well, I just want a house to live in and stuff, why not rent? Okay, like I personally, like without any partners, I own like $5 million worth of real estate. I still rent where I live. Personally.
Right.
Like to me, it just doesn't make sense to take that risk just for a place to live when I could just rent, right? And another thing that's important is you have to look at, what does this asset cost me to live in, right? And what would it cost me if I just rented it? So if the mortgage and all the payments are $2,500 per month, but you can rent it for $1,800 per month, well, like why do you need to own it, right? At that point, when it's cheaper to just rent it, right?
Well, that's a perfect transition, because like my parents have an apartment that they got 10, 15 years ago, and the rent hasn't gone up that much. So imagine it's a 3-bedroom, 3rd-story, nice apartment, and they're paying like less than some people are paying for condo fees. So it's like for them, what is the point in this stage in their life to?
For them, they should absolutely not.
Right, there's no point.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is an interesting time. You're also doing the YouTube stuff. You look pretty good in front of camera. You're natural.
Thank you.
You've been doing YouTube before?
No, just this. Yeah.
You got an editor?
I do actually.
You do have an editor? I'm like, there's no way this guy's doing this kind of shit.
My college friend, Dodzy, if you're watching, I love that guy.
Because he's got the cues, he's know when to look, and like I'm like, this guy is fucking. He must have a third channel or something.
I'm a one take guy. I'm a fuck it, let's do it live
really
guy. I don't do any takes, and I like usually don't script it either. So what I'll do I don't really like shooting YouTube videos. I'll be honest.
Really,
I'll pick a topic. In the morning, I'll look at it and be like, all right, should you buy or should you rent? And then I'll just sit in the camera and be like, all right. And I'll just
press record and then finish and send, and he does everything.
Yeah, and I'll click and I'll be like, Dodge, just make it work.
That's
how I work. I'm a one-shot guy, and it is what it is. I feel like it comes off better that way, too.
Yeah.
Scripted, it's too, like, robotic and stuff, so.
No, it's a perfect channel. It's a perfect niche. It's housing in Windsor. Like, I don't know how many people in Windsor have dedicated YouTube channels to explain, things to people. And that also builds your trustworthiness and makes you like, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's trying to help out. I mean, you're not you're losing money realistically from hiring an editor. And
I pay him like, I don't know what I pay, like $800 a month or
holy
something.
Shit. Yeah. So like
he's a great friend of mine too. So,
yeah. But I'm saying like that's not a thing that you expect to make a great return on compared to literally what you could do with that money in your space. So
it's really about building the brand, right?
Yeah.
And like, so what I want to do now as I get more and more into the developments, I kind of want to switch it over to vlog style because like, man, growing up, I wanted to be rich so bad. Like my number one desire, like when I was 8 years old, I want to be rich. Like this has always been what I wanted, but you can't find any like, a lot of people that are wealthy don't let you in their lifestyle, right? Like you can't really see their day to day. And like now it's getting a little bit more like with social media and stuff, but like growing up stuff, I could never find people that would show the truth of it and stuff. So I'm like, that'd just be a cool way to give back, right? Like all these young hustlers that want to see what it's like and like when you get there and to motivate them and stuff. Yeah, I think it'd be cool. Show them what it's like.
I like the I think for now you should just keep making those like explainer videos and going into those are great.
Those are the most boring though to make.
Well, they are most boring, but like, dude, that's how you're gonna grow a following from nothing. Like you can't post a vlog and expect people. They're never gonna find it realistically.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I don't know. I had some questions from people that I wanted to make sure to ask you. Blind bidding. Why is that a thing? That literally what my friend wrote. Blind bids.
I'm actually with him on that. I don't like blind bidding. I think it's a terrible thing. Yeah.
Well, was that ever good? Like, was that makes sense in a different time frame time period?
For the seller, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, so I've been like a listing agent for a lot of properties, and you'll have one guy you feel almost bad for. Like, he's going to come in at like,
Yeah, maybe explain what blind bidding is before.
okay, so blind bidding pretty much is you'll have a property on the market, let's say 168 Elm Street, okay? And you'll list it at 299 or whatever it is, and you'll hold offers for Saturday. So on Saturday, come Saturday, 6 p.m., everybody has to write their offers. And the only thing that I need to share as a listing agent is how many offers are on the table.
Wow.
I can't tell anybody what the offers are. And people are competitive by nature, right? So they hear, oh, there's 8 offers. They'll throw in whatever offer, and we'll take the highest and best. So what I see a lot as a listing agent, and I see it frequently, is the second best offer will be like 500, and the best one will be like 625. And like that guy just paid 125K more.
Wow, yeah.
For absolutely no reason, right?
And then that also is now driving the market even higher, right?
Driving the market.
Because you have to think, you're like, oh, I have to overbid by 100K just to even have a chance.
People have no idea. And another thing I see a lot is a lot of properties that are purchased are from Toronto investors, which is fine. But what I see is they're represented by Toronto realtors, which is a big problem because they don't have access to our sold listings. They don't know what these properties are worth. They can't see what they've sold for. They have as much information as you do.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
So a lot of times they'll call me and be like, Marko, beyond, like, what is this thing worth?
Right.
And I have to represent my seller. So if we want 450, well, it's worth, 500, 550, look at the comps is what I'll say, right? So now they're coming in based off of that. They're going to throw in these Yahoo prices, right? That's why you'll see a lot of things sell for a price that just absolutely makes no sense.
Right. What's the average now? It's like 40, 50, 100K almost
over ask?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of irrelevant what it goes over ask because it really comes down to what the listing agent lists it for, right? Like if it's a $500,000 property and I list it for $199, it's not going to sell for $300 just because I list it for $199.
Right.
It's still a $500,000 property.
I gotcha.
So it's arbitrary. But blind bidding pretty much is that. You don't get to see what the bidding price is, right? So taking out blind bidding, I think, would be an amazing thing. A lot of people are against it because they say it'll be more competitive. I think that's ridiculous. I think blind bidding...
only sellers would actually care that would be taken out.
It'd be disadvantageous for sellers. However, in the last month, the market slowed down completely. Like, the market's pretty cold right now. Like, some properties don't even get multiple offers.
Really?
Some stay for weeks and weeks and weeks on the market, right? So now I don't think it's going to matter as much.
Is that because, sorry to interrupt you, is that because of hesitancy? Because people are, like, obviously worried about the prices and don't want to, like, they're thinking it's too high? Or it's because, like, we're starting to reach a supply and demand situation?
It has nothing to do with supply and demand. It has to do with the government's attempt to slow down the market, right? And, like, the central bank, too, right? Like, when you raise interest rates that much, things are going to change. Things are more expensive than they used to be, right? Especially when you get into more expensive properties. So what happens is when you push the average price of a home to close to $1 million, and now you raise the interest rate by a point or 2 points, like that's a big difference on the monthly mortgage payment.
Sure.
And when they understand that, the interest rates are going to be increasing for a little bit of time here, that's what's going to happen. You're going to slow down the real estate market. People underestimate how important interest rates are. Interest rates, for anybody listening, is like gravity for any investment class, okay? Because interest rate is your risk-free return. Because I could just loan the money to the government of the states and get that interest rate back, right? So if the interest rate goes up, I need a bigger return from the asset in order to make up for the risk, right?
Yep.
So it's a huge deal. So if interest rates keep going up, the real estate market will come down. There is no question about it.
That's fascinating. So who would control blind bidding going away or not going away? How does that work?
Well, it's probably a government of Canada
yeah.
decision at that point, right?
Is that something they're thinking about?
They are. Yeah, they are thinking about it. Yeah, a lot of people just don't think that it's going to make a difference. And it's not going to make a colossal difference, but I think it will. It's going to prevent people from having buyer's remorse. There's nothing sadder to see than someone pay $550, and it's almost good that they don't know that the next best person was $450.
Right.
But just seeing that happen, you almost feel bad for the person.
Right.
So it prevent that.
So without blind bidding, it would basically be you would be able to see what the highest bid is. How would that work?
Correct. Yeah, you'd be able to see. So they would be like, "Hey, look, we have an offer." It would kind of be like, those fast talking guys at the.
Put your hand up.
Oh,
450. Oh,
right.
600.
Sold. Yeah. Yeah. Be more like that style.
That's fun. I want to go one of those for a
house. Fun, right? But always drop out at the.
Yeah, always drop. Right? Just raise it so someone has to pay more and get
a good time. Yeah. I'm just here for a good time.
I just brought some drinks.
I see this guy every time. Never buys anything.
He just pisses off everyone.
Just every time.
I saw in one of your videos, I see some books. I saw Intelligent Investor.
Yep. I'm
wondering if you also read The Sovereign Individual.
I haven't actually.
No? Okay. So this is a bigger topic and a bigger discussion. In the future, where we're moving right now, I look at places around the world because I'm not looking to stay here. I'm looking at property in other places I'm trying to move to. Places like Spain, Greece, Portugal, that are grossly undervalued because their economies are struggling or... tourism has absolutely destroyed Spain, let's say for the last 2 years, COVID. And I'm starting to see a pattern of like, man, this is the investment. This is the place. If you can live there with a remote job, this is the move. So as more jobs go remote, as the baby boomers start dying out, all these different factors, do you think more and more people are going to be inclined to get out of Canada and live somewhere else?
Well, I think actually there was a stat that this year had the biggest net emigration. People
really?
leaving
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah, because of the way that the pandemic was handled. So that's already happened in a certain way, right? And so you're going to push people out when housing becomes that unaffordable. People will go the other ways. And to answer your question, man, I don't know, because it's such a new time that we live in. Like the fact that someone can work remotely, like you were telling me earlier, you have a degree in engineering, and you're just like working from your laptop in your bed, like doing.
And I'm probably going to be eventually, well, hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be making more than I did as an engineer.
Like that doesn't exist, dude. Like 10 years ago, right? So I mean, it's a whole new world that we live in. So you can only predict things. I will say that Spain, in particular, when you said that, you have massive institutional investors investing a lot of money in Spain in the real estate market. What I will say is this: become an expert in one market, whether it's in Spain, China, doesn't matter where. Make sure that the economics are right on it, the fundamentals are right. Become an expert in that market, though. You don't know enough, like anyone, individual, does not know enough to be dancing around Spain, Taiwan, all these. It's impossible. Institutions that have thousands of employees of Harvard graduates can do it because they have the research base. But for us, regular people, it's way better to just focus in on something that you know and stick with that one niche market. For now, once you build it, expand, whatever. But
because I know you were talking about the immigration thing. I also have a friend who told me about Serbia this year. They don't really keep track of people coming back, to be like, it's because it's usually minimal numbers. But he was telling me somewhere around 75,000 people came in and moved back home
from Canada back to Serbia.
Not just from Canada, from like worldwide.
Wow.
Like people that at one point immigrated, wars, whatever economic situation, and have now come back and are living in Serbia because. Why wouldn't you? Like, let's just talk about it realistically. The house affordability is like 10 times less.
Yeah.
You're talking about a lower cost of living, similar costs for like, medical stuff. Actually, I would argue that you have better stuff there.
They actually have a great medical system.
If you have a bit of money there, they have private healthcare, which is a lot better than, the healthcare here.
They have a great healthcare system.
You can go to get a dental procedure done for like 300 euros, where here would be like $3-4 grand.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm also looking at other things like climate, quality of social life. These are things that Canada's missing because it's a young nation, doesn't really have.
Dude, the climate sucks.
It's you're living in
it's
Arctic
terrible.
Circle for 6 months.
I don't even
a
want
year.
it. So man, I was thinking about it today because I'm like, we're in April now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
we're still in winter.
You have 4 months of the year where you can go outside and not be like fuck as soon as you walk outside, right? 4 months out of 12. This is a sidebar.
Dude, I'm a broken record. I'm gonna get you to move to Spain. It's gonna happen.
Dude, I hate the weather.
This guy's he's already Seek's already heard me talk about this so much. He's he's annoyed.
Dude,
every person.
Every person.
At least someone's listening to me. I just talk about it to myself because nobody wants to hear it, right? It's the worst, dude. It's the worst. So I went to Vancouver like 3 weeks ago, which is like Canada's nicest.
Yes.
The weather sucks there.
Right.
I'm like, this isn't good weather. Like, this is our best. It's not good luck, That's not good that this is our best weather. So I agree with you. The climate sucks. Actually, my dad and my brother are going to Serbia on this Saturday.
For like vacation?
Yeah, like a little family stuff they're doing. So I was looking at Airbnbs and stuff, and I saw the price, and I'm like,
yeah, buddy.
It's like $30 a day.
Yeah, buddy. So this is why I'm trying to like get to this. Like I wrote down a bunch of things that would absolutely destroy, let's say, housing market. Maybe not destroy it, but at least give you something to think about.
Yep.
Baby boomers getting older. So they either die off tragically because, bless their parents, but that's life, or they decide to go back home, which is a very logical thing to do if you have a property that you bought here 20 years ago for $50K and now is $1 million. You take that money, you're living like a king till you retire. So that's a massive group of people. So that's one part of this thing. So then we're talking about the reason to live here with not enjoying, let's say, social life or bad weather. If you have a remote job, terrible weather. It's 4 months of the year. Has he
told you yet about the weather here? Has he brought that up previously?
Dude, I've complained about weather every single day I've lived here.
I can see by the shirt. You're ready to get.
I'm not even mentally. I'm in Spain, guys. I'm not here. Like mentally, I'm not here. Physically, I'm here with you in the studio. Mentally, I'm in Spain.
I'm with you, man.
So as more jobs go online, you have $50K a year. Let's say you make 60, 70.
Yeah.
You can take that and live very comfortably in a lot of places that are very nice to live in. So there's so many things that are going on. I'm curious, because this is what the book Sovereign Individual talks about. The big thing there is that once more people are free to move wherever they want, once work becomes more remote, nations have to start competing with each other to keep you there. So how can they do that? Affordability, taxes, quality of life, probably lowering taxes essentially to keep you there. Because if I can live here and, if I pay 40% here and I go somewhere like Andorra and I pay 10% income and I make 100 or 200K, what on God's green earth is going to keep me to pay that stupid rate here if I can easily get a visa? So this is the big trend in Europe. A lot of countries are opening up freelance visas. So I don't know if you know, Malta, Spain, Portugal have all started creating super easy, like you can pick it up online visas. They're going to be releasing in the next couple of years. So I don't know, I see a massive trend happening that I feel like no one's talking about. But amongst my friend group, I'm like, hey guys, look out, like have a backup plan, because I think there's a better move here. Like I don't think you have to necessarily go down this route of waiting for a housing drop or whatever. Like there's a better opportunity waiting elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you consider any of that kind of stuff when.
I see where you're coming from, but when you look at the immigration numbers compared to what emigration might be, what people leaving, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think that we're already such a big housing shortage that even if you have some people leave, it's going to be a fraction of the people that are coming in. Like you have to understand, man, there's a lot of places in the world that suck. And
of course.
Canada, and Canada's pretty fantastic, right? And you have one of the biggest booming populations, which is going to be India, India will maybe replace China after our lifetime, maybe in a century or so. I think India could do that as a superpower. But in the meantime, it's very not enjoyable to live in India. So if you have the possibility to come to Canada and live there, I think that's huge. I think that Canada, as an international student, because I'm so close to the student housing market, I know this. It used to be the UK, it used to be US, UK, and then Canada number 3. So Canada's now passed US as one of the most desirable places for international students to come in.
Really?
And when you actually start talking to the international students, one of the main reasons they come here is to get the permanent residency. It's the easiest way to permanent residency in Canada, and they don't have any intentions on going home, right? So
wasn't it before though really hard to get permanent resident status here in Canada?
In Canada, it used to be. Yeah. US, it's especially under the Trump, the Trump administration, it was really tricky. Canada's pretty easy relative to the main countries, right? So I think with that, the quality of education we have, the quality of life, like the weather does suck, but like that's like one thing out of many things.
And that's also, let's keep in mind that some people actually like the cold, as weird as that is.
I don't believe it.
I know it's crazy. I don't want to believe it either, but I had people.
You know what people always say that pisses me off? Like, you just don't dress properly. It's like, sorry, I won't spend 30 minutes before I leave my house. Why do I want to live somewhere where if the technology of clothes didn't exist, I would die? 90% of the year.
If I don't heat that car up before, if I don't have that, like, you're not going to make it.
No more real estate for anybody. Dead. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. Trust me. I'm right there with you. I hate it.
It's funny because, like, I've traveled a lot, and, there's people from these, like, really warm places that tell me, oh, my God, Canada must be amazing. Snow and all this. I'm like, you die out here. I'd bury you in the fucking snow.
Snow is nice to look at. When you look outside, it's so nice. That's good. I'm good from there.
That's a good first day.
And now we have Google. You Google image it. You can see it from so many places.
Day 2, when snow turns into slush, you're like, fuck, this is the worst.
Man, I'm one of those people though, like, even like seeing sights and stuff doesn't do it for me. Like when I was in Vancouver, we were looking at the mountains, and I'm like, man, like, I could have Google Map. Like, I could have looked at this on Google, to be honest, and saved me like a 6-hour flight both ways. So I'm one of those guys. Not everyone's like that, right? Not everyone's like that. But yeah. I'm
really curious to see, like, immigration. Yeah, where is our biggest, I guess, immigration coming from? Which countries? Do you know?
That's a good question. I'd say it's got to be India. India's got to be up there. So I know for students, it used to be China, big time. And I look at the stats for Windsor, at least. India is just like up 300% year over year in terms of, and if you like walk around, I mean,
you notice, right?
There's a lot of students from India, right? So that's a huge one, is international students from India. So net immigration, I'm not sure, but I'd imagine it'd be India. I mean, really, it can be 2 populations. It has to be either China or India, the biggest populations.
I'm saying, does it matter who's immigrating? Like, do we need people that are coming in with cash to immigrate?
That's what we do. Canada's really like that. Yeah, they'll set like a certain percentage for like refugees and whatnot, but the bulk of it is, you have either money or you're educated. Engineers, doctors, whatever we need in the country, we bring in.
Fascinating.
Because we don't make enough people, right, in the country.
Yeah. Well, a lot of countries are having that
I think that's going to be one of the biggest problems.
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I got everything. I had a bunch of other people ask questions, but I think we might have answered a bunch of them. So I guess, what are you currently most invested in? What are you most excited about going forward?
This development that I'm doing now, for sure. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I just got the building permit last week. I am Very, very pumped up for
Do you know
this.
what, like, can you tell us? Or?
Yeah, so it's 39 bedrooms, 37 bathrooms.
Oh, yeah, you told me. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's so far the largest purpose-built student housing development in Windsor. So I'm really excited about that one. It'll be done for January. And then after that one, I have a little bit of a bigger one coming up the year after. So that's
what's the big appeal for student housing? Why do you like that so much? It seems like that's your...
I love it because that's the business I learned inside and out. Like I
Right.
spent my whole time in Waterloo learning the student housing business, so I feel like I have a competitive advantage in it. Another thing I love about it is, especially when inflation's going crazy, like when you look at, for example, you're saying with your parents, they're probably paying like $900 a month, I'm assuming, because you said condo fees.
Yep.
So they're paying $900 a month. That sucks for the landlord because he probably could have gotten $1,800 per month on that. So the cool thing with students is they turn over every year, right? So as things inflate and things get more expensive, I can just every year adjust those prices, which is fantastic. And I also find that the quality of the tenant is larger because I get mom and dad to co-sign on everything. And mom and dad are usually pretty affluent people to be paying for their students to be living in college.
Right.
You would never get that quality of tenant.
That's what I was going to say. Is there a downside to that as well? Because students are so,
Sometimes, sure. Yeah. Sometimes you'll get, kids that party and stuff. Like when I was in college, I was one of those tenants. Probably like we had a hole in the wall every single year. But we always patched it up.
They still haven't found him. That's all that matters.
I never found him. A little bit of paint, paint matchup. But you're going to have those sometimes. Yeah. But it's the cost of doing business. But you're also getting like, let's say, for example, you get $700 per room, right? And you have a 6-bedroom house.
When I heard you say that on one of your videos,
I
almost choked on what was crazy. I was like, "Are you kidding me? It's just like a bedroom and like a student." I'm like, "Dude, this is insane."
So the one that I'm building now on,
but it's really nice.
Yeah, the one I'm building now on Randolph is all private bathrooms. So every single student has a private bathroom. What I think is I'm actually filling a niche because students want the privacy. But now, as prices continue to go up, like a 1-bedroom apartment here is like $1,500 per month.
Right.
So if I can provide you an ensuite room, which is as close to a 1-bedroom in like a luxury house for $850 per month. Like that's pretty great for you. You get to save all that money and you still get your privacy, your own bathroom and stuff, right? Just kind of filling that little bit of a niche there.
Life's all about finding niches, guys. I mean, that's what it is. Even on YouTube, on real estate, it's just find that niche, and even the smallest niche can be very profitable.
Absolutely, man.
So what's the long-term plan for you, in real estate?
Well, real estate is one business that I want to start. My long-term plan is I want to build the largest conglomerate in the world. That's like very much what I want to try to do.
You're doing some Mr. Beast shit right now, but in that space. Is that what you want?
Mr. Beast is nuts, man. That guy's insane. I tried his burger, though. It wasn't that good, man. Mr. Beast,
Sorry, bro. No, can't do everything right.
The burger wasn't that good. Because they just opened one up in Windsor. Did you know that?
I didn't know that was an actual thing.
Yeah, he owns his own burger chain. Mr. Beast is a genius. You need if you know him surface level, dig into deep.
No, I watched that podcast with he was on Joe Rogan. I thought like the business behind the burger was that they would let people make it, and you can order it almost anywhere, and they would prepare it for you with his ingredients. Obviously, you wouldn't know what they are.
I don't know because it's a chain, so they have
an actual physical building.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Well, I got it off of Skip the Dishes.
What?
So
oh, okay. Yeah, it's probably. I mean, I feel like we would know.
Well, it said it's on University though, so it's got to have a physical location. Maybe it's just some dude's house. I don't know.
Some dudes frying up fucking burgers to
some ciabatta,
It's like, bro, you're the chiba fucking sandwich. This guy's like, oh, there's like these little weird meat things, like they're like round, like you
got some ivar and some onions on there,
No, I thought I know he has obviously brick and mortar places, but that's in some of the bigger cities. The actual business there was, I think, he had a Mr. Beast burger, and he would let any burger place make it. They would get a cut, and he would get a cut from or actually he was barely making any from it. Yeah, I think it was just more like for brand awareness. But like he would tell them how to make it, and then you can say like, oh, we got the Mr. Beast burger here, and then you ordered it.
You should look it up because I did order it when it first came.
Dude, this is gonna blow my mind. If Mr. Beast has infiltrated Windsor,
it wasn't that good though.
That's not even the point. Like I don't even care if it's good. Like I'm just
I bought it to support because I think he's a great businessman personally.
Mr. Beast Burger, Windsor, Ontario. Dude, this is. This is actually searched. Mr. Beast Burger. I see one in Detroit. I see multiple in Detroit.
I got one.
Yeah, University.
You got one?
Right?
On Uber. 992 University.
So we'll look up 992 University.
992 University. Apologies for the dead air, but I mean this is a pretty significant.
This is a pretty big find.
This is a pretty big find.
I tried the burger. I tried it. I had it. It was okay.
What the
I'm
fuck?
Pop on camera here while you Google that here, Nelly. So, have you tried his chocolate bar?
Chocolate bar?
Apparently,
he
does chocolate bar.
I tried his chocolate chip cookie though.
Dude,
what does he not do?
I don't know, man.
The man's literally
like Logan Paul right now. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Logan Paul, excuse me.
Yeah, no, take over.
Sorry, just real quick.
I'm gonna be looking at this.
Logan Paul was at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I saw that.
He made his
I did say
debut
that
at
too.
WrestleMania.
Saw that.
That's fucking nuts to me.
I'm actually a big fan of the Paul brothers. Personally, I do like.
Go
them a
on
lot.
that.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean? I think they're fucking awesome. They talk their shit. They call out everyone. They say what they're gonna do, and they fucking do it.
They fucking do it.
Jake Paul says he's gonna knock people out. People talk shit, and then he knocks people out. Like,
He kind of did it.
Here's the thing with
What are you
here's the
gonna
thing with the Paul brothers, right?
I don't understand.
Here's the thing with the Paul brothers. For me personally, I mean, I knew Logan through Vine a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah,
A little
Oh,
bit
man, I was
through
gonna
Vine.
say I knew Logan through like a friend. Like he's not that cool.
Not that cool,
I knew
man.
through Vine.
Nah, I knew him through Vine, but for me, I wasn't too big on like his content.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jake. Jake was
I don't
a
like
kid
the
at the
content
time.
either. Yeah.
But then when they started getting to the whole boxing thing and all that stuff, obviously during the pandemic, I got more into fight sports and I started getting into boxing and all that shit. I was like, holy, these guys are actually smart as fuck. And for as young as they are, the brains that these two have in terms of business is next level.
Man, it always makes you think, and I hope that people understand too. Whenever someone gets to that level of success, it's not by accident.
Not at all.
It's not by accident because you always look at these people, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, probably Mr. Beast and shit. People always say he got lucky, right place. It's almost never that. It's almost never that. The earlier people understand that, the quicker they'll get to success.
I would say there's a bit of luck, but there's a bit of luck in anything.
anything.
You do.
Dude, think about it. You're living in Canada.
Yeah.
The amount of luck that you're living in Canada, in North
it's
America,
lucky.
Fair enough.
is through the roof, dude.
Yeah.
So how deep do you want to get on luck, right? But
Yeah.
overall, I mean, that's hard work,
Yeah.
it's determination, it's vision, it's skill, right?
Absolutely. No, the Paul Balls are, I fuck with them. But
Yeah, I want to say,
Mr. Beast. Avenue. I still don't understand what this means because it's not a thing. Like I know that's not a physical place. I think this
are
is a
you
place
sure?
that
Did you look it up on
I-
Google Maps?
Well, Google Maps won't have it updated unless this thing was. Like,
It
Google
was
Maps,
recent. No, it was recent. Because as soon as it happened, I bought the burger.
we'll figure it out after the pod. I'm
Figure
tagging you
it
back
out.
in.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right.
I still want to talk shit about Jake Paul because I'm not trying to get in the ring with him. I'm not trying to catch those hands, man.
Oh my God.
I'd maybe catch Logan's hands, but not Jake Paul.
Did we talk about anything else real estate? I had a friend who asked, "When is the market going to crash?" So I can buy up all the property. Is that an answer you can get us?
I have no idea, man. If I knew, dude, I would be so rich. So rich.
Changing trends. Like we talked about all this kind of stuff. I don't know. Like what do you talk about most with clients and with your stuff? Like it's the number one thing people are asking you.
The numbers, man. It's the fundamentals of it. Like helping people understand how to analyze a property and seeing if it actually works, if it's a good investment or not. That's the number one thing. It's not really as much about will shit crash, will it not crash? Because at the end of the day, we don't really know, right? But here's the deal. If you buy something, it's an income producing asset right now, and it's cash flow positive, which means it pays you more than it costs you each month. That's a good thing to have, especially if it's a high percentage relative to what you
Right.
spend to get it, right? So those are the important things, is learning how to analyze properties, and you can learn how to analyze businesses as well. That's the most important thing.
That's pretty much any investment at that point. Like if you can start, and I think most investments you'll probably start off and you won't either make good money, you might even lose money, but at the end of the day you're learning. I think even the first couple stocks I bought, like they weren't nothing special. Like, maybe I made a couple $100, but I'm like, oh, it's this easy to buy stocks? Like, are you kidding me? Like I could have been doing this for like years. So yeah, just take that risk, and without that risk, the much bigger risk is your money just going away to inflation, right?
Especially when you're young, take the risk, because like going all in is like $1,000.
Right.
And I know at the time it seems like, I don't know how old your audience is, maybe if they're younger,
have no
like
idea either.
late teens and stuff. Dude, it has YouTube stats. You don't know how to look at YouTube stats?
They're all over the place.
I was looking at it before it adjusted, and my stats, this was not real stats. I just want to make this clear.
Yeah.
It said 100% men.
Oh, that's 100% men. You're right. Mine's also a lot of dudes.
Not anymore. It's now that I have enough views and stuff that it's adjusted. Now it's adjusted. But at the first time,
99.
like, is there not a single female, not one girl that's watching my content? But it's not true. There are.
You were doing it for?
They're all girls. Nah, it's not what I'm doing it
Man's
for.
doing
but,
well. He doesn't need YouTube analytics to, get girls.
But you just want. I'm like,
You just want to, you want a little
I'm like,
diversity.
so my mom's been lying to me. My mom's not watching, right? So now there's more questions that come with this, right?
your brother's account, bro.
Maybe, yeah. That's what she'll say.
Those YouTube analytics are just spooky because you never know who's actually behind that account. Like,
That's
I wouldn't.
true.
I mean,
And the people that chirp you are always like most username 996
Yes.
or whatever, and they just light you up. Sometimes it's
I
funny.
saw
I'm
you
not gonna
going
lie.
at some dude in the comments.
Dude, I love it. I love it, man. This one time I told this guy, like, he has like my picture above his bed. Like, I've said all sorts
I
of
remember
things,
that was
man.
great.
Yeah.
Sometimes I go down those rabbit holes. I'm like, he's really going. This is fun. Like,
Dude, it's hilarious.
some
It's
popcorn.
hilarious. So, like, being Serbian, I feel like you're probably like that. Like, I come from a shit talking household. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I'll go to war with you in the comments for no reason.
dude, like in my household, you will get lit up.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Like, it's funny when someone lights you up, and it's the same thing. So when someone lights me up, my comment, like, I'll laugh, but then I'll light you up
Of
back.
course,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm war ready. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
always.
Just from that background, I feel like I'm more ready.
I love to talk shit, man. I absolutely love it. So whenever someone comments, I'm like, finally, like,
Could be
yeah.
1,000 good ones, but just one dude says
Yeah.
a little. Like, okay.
Every good one, I'll do the thumbs up, and then someone says something negative. I'm like, all right, like,
Let's get into it.
yeah,
Bro,
absolutely.
this was beautiful. I learned a lot. Hopefully, people learn a lot about real estate.
cool.
Hopefully, they're more likely to invest or maybe hold off. Whatever, that's your decision. But thanks for being a guest on the pod.
100%,
What's
man.
your YouTube channel so people can?
Just my name, Marko Agbaba. You'll probably have to spell it for
I'll
me.
leave it in the description
Yeah.
of all the videos. But thanks for being a guest. Appreciate
Cool.
it.
Thank you, man.